Good day, everyone. My name is Hanros Pelgan, and it's time we talk about outcome based education for teacher preparation curriculum. We proceed to decide learning outcomes. First, define what outcome based education as this apply to teacher education. 2. Analyze the four principles in outcome based education. Next is describe how teaching and learning to relate to OBE. And the last is explain how the achieved learning outcomes will be assessed. Summarize the perspective, teachers, and responsibilities in the implementation of the outcome based education curriculum. What is outcome based education or OBE? W. Spady defined OBE as clearly focusing and organizing everything in the educational system around the essential for all the students to do successfully at the end of their learning experiences. So let me emphasize the word essential. In this definition, this implies that OBE aims to teach important knowledge, skills, and values that is vital for the development of every student. This definition clearly points to the desired result of the education, which are learning outcomes. What those desired result for learning outcomes? This is made up of knowledge, understanding, and skills and attitude that the student needs to acquire and to unlock the potentials that will lead them to fulfilling lives, community, or in at work. The goal of OBE is to mold the student to become model citizen of tomorrow. Spady premised outcome-based education. All students can learn and succeed but not the same time or the same way. Successful learning promotes even more successful learning. Schools and teachers control the conditions that will determine if the students are successful in school learning. These are what Spady assumed or hypothesized in OBE. As future educator, that we are going to stand in front of a variety of students. They are unique in their own way. And that means said that we should also inform that although the students are different of all them have a capability to learn, but they move at different pieces. There are some that they get a right way, but there are also some that will take time and efforts that they fully understand the lesson. That is why, as a future educator, we need a patient in teaching our student. Four essential principles in OBE. First is clarity of focus. A clear focus on what teachers want students to learn is a primary of OBE. Teachers should bear in mind that outcomes of teaching is learning. To achieve this, teachers and students should have a clear pictures in mind that knowledge, skills, values must be achieved at the end of teaching learning process. Principle 2. Designing background. This principle is related to the first. At the beginning of the curriculum design, the learning outcome has to be clearly defined. What to achieve at the end of formal schooling is determined at the beginning. Decisions are always traced back to desired results. The third principle is a high expectation. Establishing high expectation, challenging of performance will encourage students to learn better. This parallel of Thorndike's law of effect, which says that success reinforces learning, motivates, builds confidence, and encourages learning to do better. The last principle is expand opportunities. In OBE, all students are expected to excel. Hence, equal expanded opportunities should be provided. As advocates of multiple intelligences says, every child has a genius in him herself. Hence, is capable of doing the best. Learners develop inborn potential of corresponding opportunities and support are given to nurture. We proceed in teaching learning in OBE. First is teaching is teaching. If learners learn, learning is measured by its outcome. Whatever approach to teaching is used, the intent should focus on learning rather on teaching. Subjects do not exist in isolation, but links between them should be made. How should teaching learning be done in OBE? First is teachers must prepare students adequately. Second is teacher must create a positive learning environment. Third is teachers must help the student to understand. And fourth is teachers must use a variety of teaching method. All of these strategies are very important to teachers because me as a future educator, we need to apply our best strategies in order that our student get easily or understand well. 5 is teachers must provide students with enough opportunities to use a new knowledge and skills that they gain. 6 is teachers must help students to bring each learning to a personal closure that will make them aware of what they learn. So this time we talk about shift from traditional to an OBE view. So shift from traditional to an OBE view. For the traditional view is the introduction and it turns to learnings in OBE view. The second one is input and resources. It turns to learning outcomes. The third one is a knowledge is to transferred by the teachers to knowledge already exists in the mind of the learners. And the next one is teachers dispenses knowledge. It turns to an OBE is teachers are designers of method. And the last one is teachers are student are independent in an isolation. So it is traditional and it turns to the OBE. It is teachers and student work in team. Assessment of learning outcomes in OBE. First is assessment procedure should be valid. Procedure and tools should actually assess what CAM intends to test. Second is assessment procedure should be reliable. The result should be consistent. The third one is assessment procedure should be fair. Cultural background and other factors should not influence assessment procedure. The next one is assessment should reflect the knowledge and skill that are important to the student. 5 is assessment should tell both the teachers and student how students are progressing. 6 is assessment should support every student opportunity to learn things that are important. Then, assessment should allow individually or uniqueness to be demonstrated. And the last one is assessment should be comprehensive to cover a wide range of learning outcomes. Learner's responsibility for learning. First is nobody can learn for the learner. Learners can only facilitate that learning. Second is students have a bigger responsibility to achieve those outcomes. And students are aware of their learning. To guide a student in OBE learning, they should ask themselves the following question. First, what do I have learned? Second, why do I have to learn it? Third, what I will be doing while I am learning. Fourth, how will I know that I am learning what I should be learning? Fifth is will I have any say in what I learn? And the last one is how will be assessed. So before I end, I give an activity and answer the question briefly. So the first is what is um, outcome-based education? And number two is what are the four essential principles in OBE and explain each principles. And the last question is, what did teacher intend to accomplish in the lesson at the beginning? And that's the end of my discussion, and I hope that you have a lot of understanding in my topic.